We're over halfway through 2024, and post-apocalyptic games are showing no signs of fatigue. Numerous post-apocalyptic games have been released this year with distinct qualities, separating them apart. Go on a tour with us as we scout out 15 upcoming post-apocalyptic games of 2024 and beyond to keep on your radar. Frostpunk 2, September 20th. Frostpunk 2 takes the gritty moral dilemmas of the first game and turns them up a couple of notches. You're given the task of keeping New London afloat as it struggles to survive the consequences of the catastrophic Great Storm from the first game. Yes, that technically means you manage a city in a post-apocalypse in Frostpunk sequel. Frostpunk 2 expands the series' scale with the ability to build districts rather than mere buildings and the inclusion of a new Utopia Builder sandbox mode. We're looking forward to seeing what horrific circumstances you could put your city through when Frostpunk 2 drops on September 20th. A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead, October 17th. A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead is a spin-off of the popular horror movie series. Survive in silence is the game's succinct tagline, and it doesn't appear to be mere marketing fluff. Don't expect heavy action or over-the-shoulder shooting requiring careful ammo preservation. This is a stealth game with pretty much no combat whatsoever. Sounds are aggressively amplified for the player to hear, seemingly to simulate the hypersensitivity of sound common to the alien creatures. If you like slow-paced survival horror with lots of atmosphere and crouch walking, put A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead on your radar when it releases on October 17th. Terminator Survivors 2025. Terminator Survivors sets itself apart from previous Terminator games with its large open-world survival premise. Not only is Survivors slated to be the largest Terminator game yet, but it also seems to be ticking off all the boxes for any survival crafting aficionado. This game has base building, online co-op, and plenty of pesky Skynet machines willing to destroy everything you built. We'll find out if Terminator Survivors has what it takes to survive the genre's stiff competition when it releases in 2025. Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl, November 22nd. Stalker 2 is looking mighty fine considering it was originally set to release in 2012. Despite its realistic and gritty tone, Stalker 2 features all kinds of mutant creatures and physics-bending anomalies, all of which were formed by nuclear impacts forming the exclusion zone. Players have a lot of space to explore with over 60 square kilometers of open terrain covering the terrifying Chernobyl exclusion zone. Fans have been very patient for this long-awaited sequel, and it looks like they're finally going to experience its mind-bending horror when Stalker 2 releases November 22nd. Pioneer 2024. Synchronizing in-game time with the passage of real time is something very few games do. Sure, it sounds cool on paper, but expecting players to shift their schedule to experience time-sensitive content is a big ask. Pioneer thinks it's up to the task with events and situations being tied to real-life timetables. Maybe the massively multiplayer aspect will help mitigate a fear of missing out with some co-op item sharing and clock customization. Or maybe it'll monetize them in ways that we never could have dreamt of in our nightmares. We'll have to wait and see if Pioneer's ambitions make for a good post-apocalyptic game when it comes out sometime at the end of 2024. Arc Raiders, TBA. Arc Raiders forgoes the typical zombie brand of post-apocalypse for a sci-fi aesthetic featuring Atari 2600-inspired box art. The game itself is a free-to-play extraction shooter allowing for PvE and PvP matches. It's clear from the Steam page that Embark Studios is putting special emphasis on the world building within Arc Raiders. The futuristic surface of Calibrata and its underground surviving colonies contrast each other with a different feel and culture. Besides the gorgeous visuals and sleek art style, there's not much else that we know about regarding the gameplay or how it feels to shoot in Arc Raiders. We also don't have a release window, but you can sign up for future playtests on the Steam page to find out ahead of everyone else. EXA Killer, TBA. A retro-futuristic Wild West with hover cars and cowboy hats set during a post-apocalypse? Yes, please. I don't know if I look forward to shooting through dusty saloons or flying cars more, but EXA Killer certainly has my attention. The other intriguing aspect of EXA Killer's design is its hub-based map that branches out into smaller zones as you progress through the story. I only say this hub-based map is noteworthy because it's one of the few games on this list that isn't fully open world. Oh, and did I mention that you play as a cool cloaked bounty hunter? EXA Killer is one to keep an eye on, though it has no release date at the moment. Chernobyl Light 2 Exclusion Zone 2025. Chernobyl Light 2 differentiates itself from the crowded post-apocalyptic shooter genre with its focus on a single-player campaign first and foremost. Like the first game, your mission is to explore the dreaded Exclusion Zone, the second exclusion zone on this list, for the mysterious Chernobyl Light material. But this time, you're a planewalker who traverses parallel worlds. This sequel has base building, crafting, factions, character skills/stats, and pretty much everything else required of a modern survival crafting game. We'll see how Chernobyl Light 2 plays out its promised non-linear storytelling and planewalking features when it comes out sometime next year. State of Decay 3 2025. There hasn't been much news regarding State of Decay 3 since the initial Xbox game showcase trailer earlier in June. Still, the open-world survivalist homesteading formula is rife with potential, and nobody does it quite like the State of Decay games. State of Decay 3 is set in a persistent world where characters stay dead and decisions that you make have lasting consequences. The feuds and friendships forged through online co-op are bound to be chaotic when State of Decay 3 drops sometime in 2025. Road to Vostok, TBA. Here's another survival shooter set after cataclysmic events, yet this one has a Steam demo available to play right now. While Road to Vostok may not be charting new ground regarding its tiered loot, trading, and randomized events, it being the product of a single person is remarkable. It really doesn't play or look like an indie game, with realistic graphics and surprisingly decent gun control sporting simulated recoil and angling. Road to Vostok offers a promising first-person survival experience, one that you can try out right now. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach 2025. Death Stranding 2 has one of the wildest trailers in gaming history. Whether it's the thrashing guitar laser duel or Sam's stop-motion talking puppet companion, everybody wants to see more of Kojima's crazy mailman simulator sequel. Death Stranding 2 is the most unconventional game on this list, and it's also, somehow, the one with the highest budget, making for a once-in-a-generation experience when it finally comes out, or gets delayed, next year. Metro 4 TBA. Metro Awakening VR isn't technically the next big numbered game in the gritty shooter series. No, that would be Metro 4, a game that we've only really heard whispers about. The tentatively named Metro 4 has been in the works for a while now, with developers confirming its release when it's ready, after Awakening's launch. Metro Exodus left on a pretty open-ended finale, leading to a lot of room for a sequel to branch off into. Thankfully, some leaks suggest that Metro 4 is in a fully playable state, but we'll hold off on speculation and wait for concrete news after Awakening's release. The Forever Winter. Between the giant mech enemies and the tactical squad-based combat, the Forever Winter looks pretty darn cool. I know, it's yet another co-op survival shooter, but you gotta admit that the coordinating of ambushes and strategies against mechs and giant dolls sounds intriguing. We don't know how surface level the tactics are, but the trailer does show plenty of looting and shooting up creepy enemies alongside their mech counterparts. Atomfall, TBA. Fallout London, eat your heart out. Atomfall looks to combine the narrative dynamicism of the Fallout games with survival crafting elements typical of modern post-apocalypse titles. Realistic events inform the setting for Atomfall, taking place 5 years after the Windscale nuclear fire that engulfed northern England in 1957. The first-person shooter looks like Fallout. The setting looks like Fallout. I guess we'll wait to see how Atomfall differentiates itself from its influences whenever we get an update on the game's progress. Gears of War E-Day, TBA. It's been a long time coming, but the new Gears of War is almost here, and it's a prequel to boot. E-Day stands for Emergence Day, the iconic moment when the fearsome locust hordes swarmed the surface 14 years before the events of the first Gears of War game. It's going to be nostalgic, seeing a young Marcus Phoenix fight alongside his sworn brother-in-arms Dom Santiago. We haven't seen any gameplay yet, so Gears of War E-Day is likely a late 2025 or 2026 release, but we're hyped for it nonetheless. Hey, did you know that we at Gaming Bolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.